This is Golf with Jay Delsing. A two-time All-American at UCLA. A participant in nearly 700 PGA Tour events. 7 professional wins to his credit. Over 30 years of professional golf experience. A member of the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame. This is Golf with Jay Delsing.
Golf with Jay Delsing on a Sunday morning on 101 ESPN, and it's a look back at the Ascension Charity Classic. We're going to visit with John Perlis, who is the caddy for Jay on that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're also going to visit with Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic, get an update on what it was like for him. This was his vision, his idea, and it's come to fruition. So Nick Ragone will be in studio. I'm Dan McLaughlin. That's Jay Delsing, and we are just a week from when it all took place. The Ascension Charity Classic. How much fun did you have?
I had a blast. I absolutely had a blast. I want to thank you, first of all, for all the prep. And, man, you plowed through all 54 holes, 36 more holes of pro-ams that you looped for, and it was a big week for you amongst all of your other duties.
It was a lot of fun.
Where you either had a bag of clubs on your back or a microphone in your hand all week long. You emceed everything. You emceed the shootout, which I heard was just fantastic. You know, Danny, it's just a great event. It's a community event, and really the golf is kind of secondary. We're going to get Steve Flesh on, our champion. Shot 61 on Sunday. I can't wait to talk to him about that. But he's got some scheduling conflicts and stuff. But the community just showed up, man. I mean, you think of the Marcone viewing deck that we had on 18. You think of the Club 314 that we had between 17 green and 18 tee. And then we think of the celebrity shootout that you emceed, which was like trying to keep one more frog in the wheelbarrow with 8 balls flying around.
Oh, yeah.
Ron Kay was the star of the show again this year.
Yeah, Ron Kay from Stiefel stepped up big time with money and participation.
Yeah, and he performed again. I mean, when I emceed that thing last year, Danny, and he was a stud. I mean, he had iron shots. He had some good drives. And then he was just giving money away like, here's another 10 grand here, here's 20. You don't have a lot of guys like that in the community.
Absolutely. It was a busy week for you. Let's start with the Pro-Ams, which is in many ways, if fans are listening and they don't understand it, the Pro-Ams in a lot of ways are the lifeblood for PGA Senior Tour.
Yeah, no question. Danny, first of all, the Pro-Am format in general in professional golf is a differentiator from our sport to all the others, because if you're out with the kids playing on the regular PGA Tour, you can go out and play with Jordan Spieth and Ricky Fowler and Justin Thomas, Tiger Woods, back in the day, Phil Mickelson, DJ, all of those great names and future Hall of Famers, most of them, at least some of them, and then they're going to go out and compete in the championship the very next day. That differentiates golf over everything else, and I think that's why golf is the number one outside activity for Fortune 500 CEOs, and I think that's why one of the reasons why the corporate support is so strong wherever we go. So, man, you did two, as I said, you did 2 Pro-Ams. So
I got to carry your bag.
How lucky are you?
I was very lucky. I didn't convince you on one shot. I didn't tell you. I tried to tell you a couple times, you need to do this, and you were like, shut up, just wash my ball and wash the clubs. Get out of the way.
We had so much fun. The first folks, this is an example of what the week looked like. So it starts off on Mondays pretty low-key. I went out to the golf course and practiced for 2 hours, no big deal. Tuesday, we have a 12 o'clock shotgun start. You and I get there about 10:15. You've got all sorts of responsibilities that day. You're emceeing the RSM putting challenge. You're emceeing the pairings party, which is
they put on a hell of a party.
We put on a hell of a party.
It was really good.
And in the meantime, you were out there looping for me. So we had the Emerson group with Carolyn Felton and Steve Burke and oh, man, we just had Mark Howard. We just had a bunch of great peeps.
So we had Emerson the first day. We had Clayco the second day. Then Pearlie came in, caddied for you in the third Pro-Am, and then the next 3 days was the tournament. So we were busy.
Right. So on Tuesday night, we stayed there. I think you cut out with one hole left to go shower, get your microphone on, get your jacket on, and MC the parents' party and the RSM putting challenge, which was so cool because that raised another, I don't know what it was. It was
$70,000, I think, something like that.
How about that?
Yeah.
I mean, the kids were putting. Nancy Lopez was one-handing putts in the hole.
Nancy Lopez,
that pissed me off.
Her arm is in a sling,
I know.
and she's dropping putts.
She's dropping bombs over there, especially the way I putted during the week. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. So that we got there about 10:15 on Tuesday. We both left about 7:30, 8
something
o'clock,
like that.
something like that. No big deal. Turn around for a 7:30 tee time the next day with the Clayco folks, and Bill and Hayden and Ryan and Kevin. They were just awesome, just fantastic. And I think we put up a 20 under par score or something, didn't we?
You were in the
right
top
there.
5 with your Pro-Ams.
Yeah, we were right. Each Pro-Am had the Emerson groups, I think we finished third, and that group we definitely finished in the top 5. And then with Pearlie, with Worldwide, with Tom and Keith and those guys from Worldwide, I think we finished like third or fourth at 21 under.
I got to give you so much credit, and I watched it firsthand, but during the Pro-Ams, and this is no disrespect to other players, they're just there. They're just there to hit their ball, go to the next tee, hit their ball, drop a few putts, and then they're off to the sunset. Where you really take time with these individuals, the female, we had a couple female participants. We also had, obviously, some of the guys out there that play a lot of golf. You didn't care. You didn't care if one guy was a 1 handicap or somebody was a 30. You take time, teach them, give them lessons, talk to them. You really feel that is part of the experience of being a participant in the tournament.
Well, first of all, thank you, and I really do. I sincerely mean it. I love the Pro-Ams. Now, 3 Pro-Ams is a lot for a week. On the regular PGA Tour, just so you know, there's only 1 Pro-Am, and it's Wednesday, and only 48 players play in that. Those top 48 players in the field play in that. But I do. When you're an independent contractor, like you're the same as I am, we got to hustle, and you've got your name, and that's all you really have. And so you're going to put that out there, and you don't want to take a day off, and you want people to walk away from that experience going, damn, that was a really fun round of golf, and hopefully learn something, help them with their game so that they keep coming back, because we don't have a $2 million purse without these guys. We don't have, without them buying $600 drivers and wanting, how about all the questions? Hey, when I got to hit my 5, I got a downhill lie. I got that's all part of it. That's what makes our game special.
When you look back at the week, what stands out for you?
The community. Both the St. Louis community by and large, and then the corporate community.
Yeah,
my
really
friends,
stepped up. They did again. Remember what we found out with Steve Spratt? There's almost 180 to 190 sponsors.
Exactly, that's insane. I mean, listen, we're a mid-market city. We outkick our coverage in everything like that. I'd say that, Danny, and the overwhelming support for my family. Try not to choke up here, but the girls come in, and they got their lives. They got big lives. They're all doing so well. They come in, take time to support me. You were there. The most special time, bud, wasn't on the course. It was back at my house, getting to have food with you and the girls and my grandkids and mass chaos, a dog,
yeah.
stuff in the pool, the whole thing. But that's the stuff that you remember. I mean, the golf was fun. I got to tell you, I played my first 9 holes. I didn't make a lot of putts, but, man, I hit really good putts, and I hit a lot of really high-quality shots that just, I didn't capitalize on. I think I shot 1 under my first 9, but I easily could have been 4 or 5 under par.
Absolutely.
And it was just fun to be back competing again. I've told you this off the air. There's something about tournament golf that is so hard. You just can't take anything for granted. Just finding your ball. I lost 2 balls for the week. I mean, I played Norwood. You know me.
We played 40 to 50 rounds this year. You are a ball hawk.
I'm a ball hawk.
You never lose balls.
If you lose one, I find 2 or 3 more for you or me.
Thanks
or whatever. Yeah, but to lose 2 golf balls there makes no sense at all. And also to have 2 4-putts. I can't remember. I haven't 4-putted in 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and the 4-putt on my own greens, no excuses. It just happened.
The greens, though, were different.
Yeah.
They were great. Don't get me wrong. They were in great shape.
Yep.
But the greens were rolling a little bit different than I think you anticipated.
No, they definitely fooled me, and I'd have to say they were slower than I thought. And not only that, and it's my fault for not making the adjustment, because after you putt a couple of times, you realize, hey, man, your ball's a foot short of the hole. How many putts did I have that were right on the front edge that were going in and not hit hard enough? So you've got to be able to make those adjustments, because one of the things about professional golf, the golf course changes every single day, and you have to make those adjustments. And I think that's also part of just not playing. And again, not an excuse. I'm wearing this. I shot what I shot, and I did every single one of those. But when you're out there, I had such comfort playing the course that I probably was a little too lax in staying diligent on the awareness level, because if finally I said, screw it, I'm just going to hit this putt harder. And it was the only putt I made on the entire Sunday's round was a 20-footer on 17 and went right in the middle of the hole. And I'm like, oh boy, that seems like it always happens like that. But that's on me. And those are sort of some of the things that you need to do to compete well, because what if you get a little rain? What if they decide to lay off on the water a little bit, D? That's all part of the game, man. I needed to do better.
Golf with Jay Delsing is presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We have 2 hours here on 101 ESPN. If you're new to the show, it begins at 8. We end at 10. And then you can get ready for the NFL Sunday. But let's start with golf, because I know we have a lot of people that are driving right now and going out to play their rounds of golf. I want to go back, though, to the greens. You played literally thousands of rounds at Norwood Hills. There were pin locations that I hadn't seen, and I played it a bunch. Yeah. I know you hadn't seen them either.
Yeah, yep. I can think of a couple specifically. There was one on number 16 that I was like, well, I'm looking at my pin sheet. I'm standing on the fairway. I'm like, wow.
Sure.
That's there. And actually there were 2 on 16. Then on Sunday, Saturday, they stuck the flagstick way over to the right, and it was literally 5 feet from the edge of the green, and I was looking at that. I'm like, I've never seen a flagstick there. And so, when you look at the scores in general, the scores are so much lower this year, Danny, than the first 2 years of the championship. And there's a couple things. First of all, the players know the golf course, and that is not to be discounted. You throw these guys and get them 10 rounds across something like this, and they're going to be better. And also, the weather was perfect, and the greens just did not get fast.
Steve Flesch fires a 61 on Sunday. Now, my partner here has a course record, and then it was quote-unquote broken because they redesigned the course. So you have the original course record. Then in the qualifier on Monday to get into the tournament, that was broken with a 63.
David Branshaw, shot 63.
And then Steve Flesch goes out and fires a 61 on Sunday with his son on the bag, which was really cool.
Yeah, so very cool. And texting, I had actually invited Fleshy over to the house on Saturday night. He couldn't make it. But, man, whatever he did you and I were texting about going low on Sunday. I said, I'm going to shoot my age. I want to shoot 62, get myself 9 under par, and throw something, low up there and see what that might do. But, one of the other things, Danny, we saw some of the younger tour players that
pounding it.
They're just
pounding it.
Their names aren't familiar to them, but Richard Green and Rob Labritz, these guys were. Richard finished in the top 10, and Rob had a good round on Sunday, shot 65 on Sunday, and these guys are going to have a really long, prosperous Champions Tour career.
So I'm going to give your age is 62. You're almost 63.
Yeah.
You were playing with guys that were just past the cutoff of PGA Tour champions, which is 50 and older. So a 10-year difference, man. You can tell the difference in the yardage, because when you went up on number 1, those guys hit it probably 50, 60 yards past you, and you're hitting it 300 yards.
I looked at you, and then I looked over at Pearlie, and I'm like, what was that? and Rob hits that really ugly greeny yellow ball that just, and I'm like.
Never seen a pro use that.
No. Ernie Els is using it now too, which is really crazy. But anyway, I don't know. that first tee shot, I was like, oh. Well, I mean, that was eye-opening.
It should give you it was. And it should give you an idea, though, how good these players are.
Yeah.
You're saying, well, it's not the regular tour. It's not the PGA Tour. I'm telling you, man, these guys can flat out play.
Oh, yeah. They're good. Just look at the scores up and down the field. I mean, I shot 2 under on Friday, the first round, and I was tied for 30th.
Wow.
And look.
And you got to 3 under.
Yep. Yeah, and you've seen the tips. I mean, Danny, the tips are it's plenty of golf course. It's plenty. And to think that 30 other guys shot, better scores than that out of a field of 78.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Running with some fast company over there, bro. Some fast company.
John Perlis, your caddy, is going to join us. Pearly, as we like to call him, and also Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic. One of the things I'm sure that Nick will talk about is the weather. The weather is going to dictate a lot of times your fan base coming out. Of course, they want to see – you had a very good following. Local favorite, Jay Delsing. John Daly quit a little early, but had a big following.
That pisses me off. And we both love John Daly, but you can't do that,
Can't do that. Ernie Els had a big following. Yep. Obviously, the final group on Sunday did as well. Thousands of people out there. But the crowd reaction to this event, this has become a major event in the St. Louis marketplace of sports.
Oh, yeah. It really has been. And it's interesting how many people came up to us and talked about our show.
That was great.
And somebody said, hey, where's Danny? He caddied for you. I said, he's here. And the guy's like, where is he? I'm like, I'm not telling you. He's got his ball cap on and he's got his shades on. He's hanging out, man. He just wants to hang out.
I wanted to watch you. I just didn't want to talk or anything. I want to focus on what you're doing.
I know. It was so much fun. And the response, I had one fella, I was returning the car, and you know who else we need to thank is the volunteers.
Absolutely.
First of all, Maggie Kehoe, she runs that volunteer program.
You said thank you to everybody too, which is great.
I tried to. Maggie Kehoe is a rock star, not a rock star in training. She is just the bomb, and she ran all of the over 900 volunteers. And Danny, on Monday morning, I got a car, a brand new car, full tank of gas, and so returning it to the airport. And a guy standing out there, I said, hey, man, sorry, I couldn't find my keys. I didn't want to tell him they were in my pocket. I couldn't find my keys.
You did that with me in day one.
I know, man. I was a mess. Anyway, trying to keep all that together. Talking about keeping frogs in a wheelbarrow, that was just me. That was
finding your keys.
I know, right? So I said, sorry, so he's like, oh, my gosh. He goes, I love your show. Listen to you and Danny Mac every weekend. It's awesome. We go out with my buddies, and we've got 2 carts, and we've got your show playing on both speakers on both carts. And I was like, wow, really? And
so if you're listening, thank you.
Yeah, listening right now, thank you, for sure. It was just overwhelming. Even the groups in the Pro-Am, the guys from Worldwide were just delightful. The guys from Clayco and Bob Clark, who's been a pillar of supporting golf in the North County area and Glen Echo and things like that forever. And then the Emerson guys, and you can't say enough about them. So it was just, I don't know, man. It was all aces for me.
Well, it was special for me too. To be able to caddy for you was just a treat. I had so much fun doing that. But then on Sunday, the standard bearer was
Luke McLaughlin.
Luke McLaughlin.
That's so great.
Maggie helped me set that up to make sure that he was with you, and he just had a blast and a lifetime memory. So thank you very much.
Oh, it was a ball because this was interesting. So we're walking off the first tee, and you're getting stuff together, and you're still whatever. And I had said hi to Luke, gave Luke a big hug, and said thanks for coming with us. But then introduced the guy that was keeping score. And we're walking, I don't know, we're maybe 60, 80 yards off the first tee, and I hear this guy, he's kind of peppering Luke with questions that are like, I don't want to say below Luke. Your son is so dang polite and so proper and so respectful. And he was saying, yes, sir, I play golf. And I said, and I finally like, man, I've had enough of this. I stopped and turned around and I said, hey, Kevin. And he goes, yeah. And I go, this is Luke McLaughlin. He's one of the top-ranked junior players in the entire state of Missouri. He can hit it further than every single guy in this field, and he's a player. He is nationally ranked, and he's like, he looks over at Luke, and Luke's like, it is what it is. I'm not going to tell on you. And I'm like, well, I am, because I'm like, Luke, I'm saving Luke, man. He doesn't want any more of those. Come on, man.
His game took off when he started working with Jay Delsing, and that's a fact.
Well, he is a true delight. Both of you. Avery McLaughlin is a future star, and I love both of your guys, and they're terrific. And they were both out there, and it's fun. You know what? It's fun to just kind of see the twinkle in their eye, because I know they both love the game, and they're like, I wonder if
they were there to support you.
I know.
They wanted to see you.
I know. It was awesome. It was so humbling, and then the way I played was humbling on Sunday, and now we just get to talk about it for another year until I got to do it again.
How's the body holding up?
Not bad, but
okay.
I underestimated, and you kept asking me, I said, D, I'm tired, but geez, he's like, man, you kept saying, you look pretty tired. I said, well, I'm tired.
I wanted you to get in the cart.
I know. I walked all 3 days, and it's interesting. I got stronger and felt better. From Saturday, I was better than Friday, and Sunday, I was better than Saturday. So I felt good about that. But, man, Monday came around, and I was charging. I got out of bed. I was all jacked up, kind of slowed down right around lunchtime. About the afternoon, I was barely walking. Yesterday, so Sunday I went to bed at 8:30. Monday.
Okay.
I went to bed at 8:30 and slept all the way through the night, which I don't even ever do. Don't normally start well all the way to 6 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. Then yesterday I was just beat up. I took a 3-hour nap in the middle of the day. I think you called me a couple of times. I had my phone like right next to it, didn't even hear it. And then fell asleep on the couch at like 8:45 and slept all the way. Today I feel completely normal. Little sore. I got into did a couple ice baths and did the compression sleeves for my legs and stuff like that to help with the recovery, and feeling better.
Good.
Feeling better. Yeah, ready to go. Let's go play.
That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're off and running Golf with Jay Delsing. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. What's it like to be the caddy for Jay Delsing? We're going to find out. John Perlis, Jay's caddy, is coming up.
Daugherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions.
This is Dan McLaughlin, inviting you to the 21st Annual Dan McLaughlin Golf Tournament to benefit the Special Education Foundation. This tournament has raised over $5 million, and 100% of the money raised has gone to children with special needs in our community. To sponsor, volunteer, or to play in the event on October 9th at Norwood Hills Country Club, please visit sef-stl.org. I'll see you on October 9th at Norwood Hills Country Club.
I'd like to welcome I Promise to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. What is I Promise, you ask? It's a St. Louis-based company with the most clinically backed eye health performance supplement brand with over 20 years of eye health expertise and nutrition science. It's all natural, and their cutting-edge science and technology has helped I Promise forge many exciting new golf partnerships, like with the PGA of America, the Titleist Performance Institute, the Ledbetter Academy, and many more. Perhaps the most exciting component for me is that all of this new improvement is measurable. I can tell you that in my case, my initial score was around 0.25, and after taking the I Promise product for 2+ months, my score soared to almost 0.60. It had more than doubled. I can now read the greens better because I'm not really dealing with as much glare and trying to manage that, and I squint much less when I'm playing golf. And you don't have to take it from me. Check out what Padraig Harrington has to say about this product. He is playing some of the best golf of his career in his early 50s, and he swears I Promise has helped improve his short game. Check out I Promise. That's I Promise, the company helping us to see better, play better, and live better. Visit them at ipromise.com.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, any make or model, then you need to visit the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. They are the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show. My daughter and I both drive vehicles supplied by Colin and the Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood. And the reason we have them is because we know we can trust them. They made the car buying experience painless and very easy. Their customer service is second to none. They provided my daughter with a loaner car when her Passat needed repairs. Every single step of the car buying experience was taken care of for us. You can reach Colin at 314-966-0303, and he will answer all of your questions and put your mind at ease. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood has new or pre-owned vehicles to be purchased or leased, whichever you prefer. Once you visit the Dean Team Volkswagen on Manchester and Kirkwood, you'll become a customer for life because they'll treat you like family. The Dean Team Volkswagen of Kirkwood, the official vehicle provider of the Golf with Jay Delsing show.
Hi, this is Peter Jacobson, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
This is Golf with Jay Delsing on a Sunday morning on 101 ESPN. That's Jay Delsing, as we've talked about, who competed in the Ascension Charity Classic. It was just a week ago that it wrapped up on that Sunday afternoon out at Norwood Hills. Beautiful weather, beautiful tournament, and a great turnout. And Jay, we have a special guest and a guy that you know pretty well, and he was with you with every step of the way at the Ascension Charity Classic.
John Perlis, Pearly May, welcome to the show. First and foremost, you know I love you, and I so appreciate your time, your effort. You were laughing and crying with me all the way through, man. Thanks for being on.
We had another epic year of things that happened that we never would have expected happen, just like the year before. I'm not sure what that means.
So, John, let's talk about this. Let's talk about being the caddy for Jay Delsing. So you're part psychologist, you're part best friend, you're part of wiping down a ball, wiping down a club. What is it about caddying for Jay Delsing that John Perlis loves?
Oh, I love being in between the ropes. I love to see my buddy in his glory. It's where Jay loves to be. It's his happy place, if you will. It's where he gets to show his talents, express his creativity. It's all of those things, Danny. It's a special place, and I'm very fortunate to have been able to do it. I don't know, Jay, maybe 100 times or so.
Oh yeah, and it's been great. And John, we've got such a great connection and a great friendship, and it's really nice for me to have you out there, and it's nice to have a shoulder to cry on too, because we've had a lot of opportunities to use your shoulder in the last 2 years.
Well, definitely some crazy things have happened. When people ask me why I do like to do it, and it is a tremendous amount of work. And people have no idea how hard it is to be a caddy, let alone be a tour player. It looks great. I used to always joke with you that it's something everybody wants to do until they understand it more. It's fun, but man, it's hard. When I would be out there more than 2, maybe 3 weeks with you at a time in the past, I was exhausted. I think three weeks was my max, and I don't know how those guys do it week in, week out for 15, 20 years. I'm really impressed by the caddies that can do it for a living.
Well, let's get into that. What goes into the daily process of being a caddy, whether you're on the PGA Tour Champions, but give us some insight into what it's like, and in particular, what it was like last weekend at the Ascension Charity Classic.
Well, it's fun, but it's long days. You know, Jay had 3 practice rounds, if you will, pro-ams. I just did 1 with him, and it's just long days. You're there a couple hours before you tee off. need to be prepared, get the breakfast down, and be ready at the putting green to kind of kick things off. And then it's just really being attentive. I think I get exhausted from it because you're really on the whole time. I just want to be attentive to what he thinks he needs, what he needs, and what else might be happening that's kind of funky around us. And that's what it's about. It's about a bunch of little things. Nothing's hard, but it's a lot of little things over a, 6-7 hour period every day out in the golf course.
And Pearl, as we age, I mean, there's a physical component now too. You're carrying around a bag, you're hoofing. Norwood Hills is a lot of things. It is not flat. And I had a horrible week with my driver, so we were not walking many straight lines out there.
Well, your daughters were so concerned about me. I said there's two things that were key. One, it wasn't 92 degrees, it was 82 degrees, which was huge. And except for the last day, you kept it off the side of the hills for the most part. But that last day, it was kind of a mountain goat for 3 or 4 holes, and I was out. That was difficult.
John Perlis is our guest, known as Pearly, longtime co-host with Jay Delsing on Golf with Jay Delsing. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions, and he was carrying the bag for Jay Delsing last weekend at the Ascension Charity Classic. Take our listeners inside a conversation when you're maybe in between clubs or deciding what you want to do, and the wind is a factor, and you know the greens, all those kind of things. What's it like from a caddy's perspective and the conversation you have with that player?
Well, I think it's super important to understand the player, first of all, and the tendencies. And I really go off of Jay's tone. If he picks a club and wants to hit a shot that I think is absolutely ridiculous, but he's confident, I just shut up and say, absolutely, I agree. That's a great call.
Like number 11, the first day. Let's take them through that, Pearl. Let's take them through this. So I'll set this up. On the 11th hole, it's a drivable par 4. It's 300 yards long, a little over 300 yards long, and I have pulled my drive left, and we are probably, Pearl, 50 yards from the flagstick?
This is one of the greatest shots I've ever seen in my life, but go ahead. You're way left.
So we're way left.
It was unbelievable.
We got trees that are hanging down. Now, the key for me, and this is odd, but the key to me is that we have a good lie that's sitting not way down in a hole or and it's in a little rough, but it's downhill, so it's going to help me keep the ball low underneath this huge oak tree that's right in front of us, Pearl. And then you can set up the rest of it if you want.
So we talked about going left of the tree into the bunker, leaving ourselves a relatively easy bunker shot. We talked about going right of it and going back into the fairway, which would be a relatively easy pitch, which he's hit 1,000 times before out there and got it up and down hundreds and hundreds of times before. But no, he had this idea to go under the branch, punch it into the hill, make it dive slightly through the rough, and then trickle left perfectly next to the hole. And I just didn't see it. And the other thing, there's a tendency with, I would say, if there's a weakness, Jay's sense of trajectory on chip outs through the years has caused us some major angst. So yes. I was a little bit worried about that because I can see that. I said, do you see that branch up there? And he's hitting a middle wedge. I'm thinking he should hit an 8-iron to make sure he gets underneath the branch. But he had it so in his head. And to your point, Danny, it turned out unbelievably well. And I think at least one of the other two players were giving the bow to Jay because it's a shot that they never could have imagined either. We ended up with an 8 or 9 foot birdie putt, which was just unbelievable.
Well, I can remember the last thing you said to me is that, remember, you're hitting, and this is where I'm, my awareness is fairly selective when I'm out there, where John says, you realize there's that oak tree in front of us. And I said, I couldn't hit that oak tree in a million years. That's what I said to Pearly. And then right before I got, went through my routine where it's completely on go and we're never coming back, he says to me, I just want to say this one more time. Are you sure you don't want to pitch out, go back into the fairway and just make an easy up and down for your par? And I'm like, not in a million years.
But Pearly,
that speaks to the athlete, though. I mean, I love the single vision. I interrupted him, if you will, a little bit more than I've ever done before. But the issue was the trajectory, and I know that that's not a strength of his. And let's put it this way, Danny. Had he been wrong and hit that branch, we might still be there right now. We couldn't do this interview because we'd still be there trying to find the ball and chipping it onto that damn green.
Where does that rank in terms of the shots that you've seen from Jay? Because that to me is probably the best shot I've seen.
I would say as far as recovery shots go, it might be in the upper 4 or 5 ever. Greatest shots, I mean, the guy's hit so many pure shots through the year, just pure, wonderful, interesting golf shots. But that is absolutely one of the best ever. Again, I'm not sure how necessary it was, but it sure was fantastic.
John Perlis is our guest. He caddied for Jay last week at the Ascension Charity Classic. What are those conversations like, too, in which you're not just talking about what club to hit, but maybe it has nothing to do with golf, to just get your player, his mind off the game, maybe off the shot, and just try to relax a little bit? It's kind of the gamesmanship of the actual caddy.
Well, absolutely. We do that a lot. And, one thing through the years, I've got 5 sisters, and I can't tell you how many tournaments I would get an email or a text after the tournament or after the round saying, what were you guys laughing about so much out there? It's such a long day, and you really just want to be focused for, what would it be, Jay, 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds before you play.
Yep.
All this time in between, if you're grinding it for 4.5, 5 hours, whatever you're out there, you're going to be exhausted, and you're not going to be fresh, and it's not going to be very sharp. So we really want to stay away from golf, if you will, and just kind of talk about stuff that I know is going to keep him relaxed, keep him interesting. Maybe we talk about people watching, spectators in the crowd. Maybe we talk about the beautiful day. Many times we talked this week about how fantastic that golf course is. Norwood Hills just has a special way about itself, and it can drive some people crazy, but it's beautiful and it was in fantastic shape. So we certainly talked about that a lot this week.
How much do you pay attention to the other guys that are paired with Jay, the other two, just to see, okay, he's 210 out, he's using this club. Jay, I think he used that. You need to use this. How carefully do you watch that?
I would say pretty carefully. I mean, on par 3s for sure, we're grabbing clubs from the other guys for sure, having a sense as well on the fairways. It's a little harder when it's on the fairway because you might be in a different type of lie. But when you're in a par 3, pretty much everybody's doing a short tee up situation, and they're going from there. So we'll do some of that. It was interesting this week because a couple times we played with a couple guys that just smashed the ball. So it was a little, I'm not sure if the right word, for me it would be intimidating. For Jay, it was just kind of interesting. But some of those guys were just hitting it so hard that it was a little tough to club off of them a couple times.
Bro, what about, okay, so let's take the listeners through the very first tee shot on Friday.
Oh, boy.
We're the last group off. So, Danny, in 2 years ago, in year 1, I hit the very inaugural first shot. This year, I was the last guy off on Friday. So we're playing with Rob Labritz and Richard Green. Great guys, young, 51 years old, 50 and 51 years old. And Rob, and I've never seen Rob even swing the club before, he stands up on the first hole and he hits this monster drive that goes, what, Pearl, 50, 60 yards from the green?
Oh, yeah, it was unbelievable. With that ugly yellow ball. Yes, he did.
And I looked at Pearlie, Danny, and I handed him the driver, and I said, why don't you take it from here because I don't think I want any part of that.
It was so far out there, Danny. It was so unnerving, if you will. And it was the first time that I realized there's a big difference between 63 and 51. And, a lot of times in the tours, some guy might be 25, the other guy's 37, 38. Not necessarily that big of a deal necessarily. But I'll tell you what, these guys are coming on the tour at 51, 52 years old in unbelievable shape. And these guys were pounding this thing. It was unbelievable. He just flew all the trouble, hit it as straight as a dime. And by the way, that wasn't his only long drive of the week. He bombed it pretty much every hole.
How about the time, Pearl, on number 13, where I think we're all 1 under par for the day, or 2 under par for the day, and the wind's into us. It's a 460-yard uphill hole, and these guys tomahawk this drive. And I hit this little heel bleeder out there that stays in the right edge of the fairway, and we can't even identify which player's which. One's left-handed and Rob's bald, and we couldn't identify which player's which because they hit it so far past us.
Yeah, it was interesting as could be. And again, as you proved that day, distances and everything, because you more than hung in there. But over the course of a week, it probably matters a fair amount. There's as you and I have kind of discovered and looked into, distance is a big deal, whether it's regular tour or senior tour.
In terms of putting, how much do you line it up for Jay and give him the conviction in the putt? Or is it Jay primarily saying, no, I don't see that. This is what I see, and this is what I'm going with?
Very few times does he call me in, especially at Norwood. Other golf courses, I would get involved a little bit more, but he knows Norwood so terribly well, which is one of the hard parts this week because they have so many unique pin placements. that there was areas where Jay wasn't terribly comfortable. And so this week I would say not that much, Danny. My deal on the putting green was I would really encourage him to commit to his line, whatever it was, because he was indecisive because of the new pin placements and kind of how slippery the greens were. But the key for us was that we agreed on is whatever line you pick, be completely committed to it. We don't want to be uncommitted, and then who knows what kind of funky things can kind of start going off on the rails. So that's what it was about. So just kind of get into your target, and I'd probably say trust it on every putt the guy hit for the whole week, because that's the huge part. When Jay can just trust himself, wonderful things are going to happen.
Pearl, well, thank you for that. You know what's interesting is as I review, I was fooled by the greens because they looked fast and they weren't. And they were actually slower and I knew they were going to slow them down from what we typically play at Norwood because of the Champions Tour and the nature of the tournament. But I was shocked at how many putts I left short. And, you know, when I had the 2-4 putts, they were all because I left my approach putt in a really dicey downhill area that's kind of a do or die sort of thing.
Yeah, well, we talked about that. I don't think there was a single runaway putt. I don't think there's a single time that you hit it more than 3-4 feet past the hole. And some of these other guys were knocking it to the fringe, which you can easily do out at Norwood. You know, at the end of the day, Jay, one of the best defenses Norwood has against low numbers is the severity and the uniqueness and the subtleties of the green that just keep the players off balance, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, and it definitely worked for me. It had me off balance. I would have never dreamed that I would have such a poor putting week.
But to the same token, you made some nice putts and you made some bombs.
Yeah,
which you could play out there a long time and not make a 30-footer, and you made, I think, 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, I sure did.
Let's wrap it up with this. What was the best part of the week for John Perlis as you reflect on being with one of your best friends, your former college teammate, your caddying for him on the PGA Tour Champions? What was the best part as you reflect on it?
I think just one more round, the golf course, if you will, one more tournament around with Jay, and to kind of see him be so competitive at 62, almost 63 years old, both in his heart and his ability to actually play. Yeah, there was a couple stumbles with putting and a couple tee shots, but Danny, other than a half dozen shots at the most, he was lockstep with the best senior tour players in the world. And for a guy that hasn't played for a couple of years, that was pretty cool just to see his dogged determination and competitive juices flowing at this stage of his career.
And, you know, Pearl, I still am trying to digest that one comment you made to me that you said I'm 62, but I don't look a day over 79. What does that mean?
Well, try to break the ice after the 4 putt to get your mind off it.
Was that the first 4 putt or the second?
I'm not sure. Maybe in between.
Hey, John, thanks for coming on the show on this Sunday morning here on 101 ESPN. And it was great to catch up with you last week. I know in talking with Jay off the air, you did a remarkable job, and he loves having you on the bag. So thanks for doing this.
Well, I loved it. Thanks for the interview here, and keep it going. You guys are a great partnership on this show. Keep it going.
Love you, Pearl. Thank you.
That's John Perlis, and this is 101 ESPN. It's Golf with Jay Delsing, and we're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions.
I want to thank the Gateway section of the PGA again for supporting the Golf with Jay Delsing show. This is their 3rd year of support. Over 300 men and women in our area supporting golf and making our golf experiences so much better. Through PGA Reach, PGA Hope, the Junior League, and the list goes on and on. These are just examples of programs and charitable aspects, different opportunities that our section supports and enhances in our community. Whether it's a driving range somewhere, your country club, or whatever it is, and it has to do with golf, our section and their members will have their hands in it and involved in it. Our professionals are there making the game better for everyone. We want to thank the Gateway section of St. Louis.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient It's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Mano's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Mano's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Mano's, located in Chesterfield.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing, and we golfers are always looking for ways to improve our games. For me, that means I want the very best and the very latest in equipment and in technology. The place for me is Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood. Tom DeGrand opened Pro-Am Golf Center in 1975, and ever since then, he and his family have provided St. Louis with the finest in golf equipment, instruction, and the latest in the ever-changing world of golf technology. Whether you are a scratch golfer looking to find the latest in rangefinders or a newcomer looking to find your first set of clubs, Pro-Am Golf has just what you're looking for. You say you're looking to get yourself custom fitted for a new set of clubs? You need to call TJ. He has fit me personally, and he is the best in town. If you mention my name, CJ will take 50% off the already low fitting price. So if you need anything from golf balls to a new pair of shoes or a lesson from Tom, who, by the way, has been helping St. Louisans play better golf for over 45 years, Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood is the place for you. You can also visit them at proamusa.com. That's Pro-Am Golf.
This is Paul Lazinger, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
This is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood. Our motto is play your best golf. We have the best instruction for every skill level. 2 female instructors along with our 8 PGA instructors. We're there for the kids and the adults who are starting to play and trying to refine their game. Family Golf and Learning Center features a double-decker driving range, grass tees, and a short game area, along with indoor simulators and a performance center. That's not all. Don't forget about our back 9 bar and grill. Find out how we can help you and your family. Head to familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com. It's Family Golf and Learning Center, where we make St. Louis better at golf.
Powers Insurance and Risk Management is a family-owned local business that's been helping our community for over 200 years. In the always confusing world of insurance, Powers Insurance provides clarity, exceptional service, and the latest in cutting-edge products to deliver the highest quality in property and casualty coverage, as well as strategic planning consultation services. Powers Insurance and Risk Management will partner with you. That's right, partner with you to customize the right coverage for you and your family. Tim Davis, the Chief Operations Officer, will personally sit down and talk you through the ins and outs of your policies. They are experts at helping you control your workplace expenses and helping to guarantee the safety of you and your employees and their needs. You can visit them at powersinsurance.com. That's powersinsurance.com for all of your insurance needs.
Golf with Jay Delsing on this Sunday morning on 101 ESPN. Great to hear from John Perlis. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're presented by Doherty Business Solutions. And Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic is coming up a little later in the show. One of the things I think that we shed some light on is that I just think that the average fan looks at a caddy and says, well, he's just wiping a ball down, wiping the clubs down, carrying the bag. Man, there is so much that goes into being a caddy, especially when you're with a professional golfer.
Oh, man, no doubt about it. And I mean, like you said, I think at the intro, you know, part sports psychologist, part this, part that, and it's all true. And there's a lot going on, you know, and then someone hits it in a bunker. You don't just slap the rake around. You've got to smooth it, you know, you got to smooth that sand out and do things that most guys playing golf, Danny, don't do at all.
What do you want out of a caddy? Do you want somebody that is saying, do you want not to argue with you, but to come with a different opinion and say, no, don't go 4-iron. I want you at 5-iron, and this is why, so that you're committed to the shot once you're standing over it?
I don't. All I want is what Pearlie and I worked out, and what I worked out with all of my other caddies, is that when we're going over the information. So let's say we get to well, you know what it's like when we get to the ball. I'd say to you, Danny, we have 121 yards to the front, and the flag's on 12, so it's 133, and it's uphill 5, so that's 138, and there's no wind. And so basically I would say to you, D, I'm going to land this a little short, and I'm going to hit a lower trajectory. It's going to land about 134, and that's what we'd go. If there was ever any sort of doubt in my mind, or there's any sort of conjecture, then I want my caddy to step in and go, you know what? 5 miles an hour for the wind is not enough. That ball has been getting hammered by that wind, and we need to give it at least 10 or 12 or something like that. I love those sort of inputs. But for the most part, and Pearlie and I were talking about that shot I had on 11, for the most part, if I see what I want to see and I'm committed to it's get out of the way.
Sure.
Because 9 times out of 10, that'll work out well.
I'm always interested when a player has a tough hole, what is said going to the next tee.
Right.
And you talked about it in our open. You had a couple of 4 putts, which you never do.
Ever.
Never.
Mm-mm.
And so you haven't done that if ever in your life.
I
and
don't
so
remember.
What does Pearlie say to you at that point to try to get you back on point and to focus and say, hey, that's done. Those putts are over. Can't do anything about it. Let's get after it on this tee.
Absolutely. It's like, hey, we need this ball in the fairway. Next shot. Forget it. Next shot. We need this ball in the fairway. And I'm like, I know. I got you. Let's drop it. Let's go. And I put the ball in the fairway and birdied the next hole.
That's right.
After the first 4 putt.
We don't want to talk about the 4 putts.
Yeah, but you really do. I mean, and part of a golf tournament, I mean, I told you that you're going to get punched in the nose or hit below the belt somewhere, and it's going to sting, and whoever can recover the fastest is going to do the best. And with a 54-hole event, you don't get that extra luxury of having 18 extra holes, additional holes like you did on the regular tour. So, and from that regard, it's a little more of a sprint. Over the course of a 72-hole event, you can afford a couple more gaffes. You can afford messing up a little bit. It's definitely okay. You know what I mean? But 54 holes, man, you shoot 70 and you're probably not going to win. Unless you follow it, because the guys are just that. Look, they're that good.
Guy shoots a 61.
Yeah, in 17.
It's gonna happen.
17 under wins on a par 71 golf course, man. So that's low, and so you've really and truly got to be one shot at a time, and you've really and truly got to be into the processes and not the outcomes. The outcomes make you miserable. They just and besides that, they make you incredibly uptight.
Absolutely.
Because you're like, oh man, there's OB over there, there's Lake over there, the D. It's like, nope, here's where I'm going. I'm going to make a committed swing, freed up at that target with a little draw, and wherever it goes, I'll go find it.
I love that Pearlie is one of your best friends. You guys were college teammates at UCLA. And for fans that don't know, Jay, a 2-time All-American at UCLA. Pearlie was not, but he is a guy, though, that is funny. He's quick-witted. And you need that on the course, too. You need to have a little reprieve from – because it's such a mental game. It's a mental grind that you need to have a little fun and something that he says, a joke, something that he makes fun of himself or you. And it just – okay, now I can kind of catch my breath a little bit.
Exactly. You're 100% right. You're not concentrating for the entire 5 hours. You have to go in and out and in and out, just like when you were caddying for me.
Yes.
We were telling jokes and we were laughing. There were balls flying everywhere the one day. We were like, wow, these guys are going to be tired because there's some rough out there. And yeah, it was, you've got to have that levity, man. You've got to be able to laugh. Otherwise, at the end of 6 days of that kind of focus, you're going to just melt into nothing.
I was watching Jose Maria Olazabal, 2-time Masters champ, and he is laser focused. And then I'm watching Jay Delsing, laser focused. But then Pearlie would point out somebody in the crowd that was your buddy and say, hey, Susie Q's over there, John is over there. And Jay would hit his shot, and it would shock people if they knew this, but then Jay would hand him the club and go say hi to that person during the round.
Exactly. I came over and talked to you a couple of times. You had $1 bills out a couple of times on some putts and some things. And it
Our
was
inside bets that we have, and you rolled it.
So
we could say this. So 50 feet or beyond, if you roll in a putt, you might get a shekel or two from the other guy.
That's right. That's
So,
right. Or
Jay,
if you chip in, you get a shekel. I get a shekel. If you chip in, you get two times a shekel. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Jay it's the you hit the chip and then they go to the next tee and I got a little.
I know. I look over. I go, "There's money. I smell money out here. There's money somewhere." That was so good. And Pearlie didn't know what I said. "Well, Pearl, we have this game," and I started explaining to him. He goes, "Oh." And then on Saturday's round, I think I made 3 putts over
50.
Yeah,
yes,
long.
It was long.
So much fun.
But Pearlie held up too. You know, it was interesting too. One of the guys that you played with, I cannot recall, but his caddy was in a cart, and the rule was that caddies could not be in a cart. The players could,
right,
but a caddy cannot. And Pearlie was carrying obviously all 3 days.
Right. So that was on Saturday. We played with Jose Maria Olazabal and Shane Birch.
That's who it was.
And Shane Birch's caddy has his own medical, so both Shane and his caddy were riding a cart. I'll be honest with you, the carts suck. They suck, and walking should be a part of. I know this is unpopular, and we're over 50, whatever. Walking should be a part of it, and it'll never happen because the great Tiger Woods, hopefully, in a little more than 2 years, is going to be right here in St. Louis playing this Champions event, riding a cart. But it's just squirrely, Danny. It's just squirrely.
But you've talked about it though too, and it is part of the history of the game. You always walk.
Yeah.
But you've talked about it is good though, good or bad shot, to kind of think about the next shot or something that you technically don't feel right with or whatever, and you're thinking that through as you walk and getting to your next ball.
No question. Plus, Danny, you know, as an athlete, that walking helps you burn off some stress. It helps you keep your body warm. The biggest reason that I didn't want to get in the cart is I didn't want to sit and walk and sit and walk. And, you know, we talked to you and I probably drove you crazy talking about this because you have the opportunity on the Champions Tour to pick up a cart at any time. Like I could walk 6 holes and ride the last 12. And I started asking you about that, and we both agreed, you know, to just kind of go with the how I felt at the time. Maybe the first day I probably would have jumped in a cart, maybe the last 3 holes, something like that. Maybe because the swing I made on 18 was probably a really, really tired swing.
I thought it got a little tired.
Yeah, losing that ball.
As much as I know, which is not a lot, I thought it was a little tired.
No, you know way more. But when I look at that tour and what a big part of athletics and walking, and it just seems like we shouldn't even let guys take the cart.
Did Pearlie try to talk you into it at all?
He asked me every day. He asked me every 3 holes after the 9th hole on the back 9 because I said, I'm going to walk 9 every day, you know, and I thought I got out of the chute on Friday walking and just felt great.
Yeah.
And I was playing well and I had a really nice rhythm for the day. And I was 3 under par, with just a couple of holes left and I wound up bogeying 18. But I felt really good. I got tired and sore on 18 on Friday. I didn't get tired or sore at all on Saturday until I got finished. And I'm like, oof, man, my feet are sore. Sunday, I didn't have it at all. And I hurt my feelings more than I got tired on Sunday with the way that I played.
That's okay. 2 of my favorite shots was 11, as I mentioned with Pearlie.
Yeah.
We went through that shot. Top 3 shot I've ever seen you hit. I mean, it was awesome to see it in person. Because when you did it, I was like, oh no, what's he doing? And then I said, oh yeah, that's a great shot.
Right.
But also on
16,
that little where you used the blade and didn't putt it and it was just off the green. I love that shot.
Oh yeah, and I hit a really good one on 16 on Sunday. That was on 50.
I'm thinking,
yes. And on 16 on Sunday, hit the 5-iron under the tree, around the thing, and over the hill we go. Yeah. So, you know what? All in all, the tournament was just aces. I really feel like the community had a blast. And what's more important, you said earlier, is that this event is becoming a staple in the St. Louis sports landscape. And I think that is a tribute to Ascension and Nick and Steve and the whole HNS team.
That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're off and running with Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. And when we come back in studio, Nick Ragone will be our guest.
Redbird Heating and Cooling sponsors the Veterans Vocational Apprenticeship Program. Jed, the CEO and former Marine, will teach, mentor, and sign off on educational and mechanical work hours to help you get fully licensed while you work and get paid by the company. What a great way to launch your career as a fully licensed HVAC specialist. Visit redbirdhvac.com. That's Redbird Heating and Cooling.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis. 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing for SSM Health Physical Therapy. Our golf program has the same screening techniques and technology as the pros on the PGA Tour use. SSM Health Physical Therapy has the Titleist Performance Institute trained physical therapists that can perform the TPI screening on you, as well as use the K-Vest 3D motion capture system. Proper posture, alignment, etc. can help you keep your game right down the middle. We have 80 locations in the St. Louis area. Call 800-518-1626 or visit them on the web at ssmphysicaltherapy.com. Your therapy, our passion.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. You'll see the latest in equipment, find the latest innovations in golf, and get tips from a PGA professional. That's jdelsinggolf.com.
Daugherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions.
Golf with Jay Delsing on this Sunday morning as we look back at a great week that was the Ascension Charity Classic with Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. We're brought to you by Daugherty Business Solutions. And from the Ascension Charity Classic, it was his idea. It was his vision. In studio, Nick Ragone. And congratulations, Nick, on another great week.
You know, you plan 51 weeks a year, and then it comes down to weather. And the last 30 days prior to last week, I was sweating bullets because it was hot. Literally sweating bullets. It was hot and it was humid. And like a miracle, Danny and Jay, on Monday, a cool front came in, it broke. And I've been out here 10 years in St. Louis, so exactly 10 years. That was the 6 best days of weather consecutively I've experienced in 10 years, and it happened to be my week. So whether you believe in divine providence or not, weather makes so much of it. You know, our crowd on Saturday was bigger than our crowd on Saturday the first year, which was a record. And a lot of it is just weather-driven. We saw as the weather got better, the walk-up ticket sales went through the roof, and so I'm pleased that I'm delighted the week is over. I'm exhausted, but I'm thrilled it went so well.
I was going to ask you, how did you sleep?
Really well.
Oh man, I didn't realize how tired I was. But Nick, it is such a thrill. I mean, it's one thing to see all the build out and see it happening. It's another thing to see it full. It's another thing to see people entertaining. They're entertaining clients there. They're watching golf. I mean, it is such a cool thing for a player to walk up to like the 17th green and go, you know, there's 5,000 people just sitting in these things here.
We're on
watching
Thursday
tickets.
during the Pro-Am, so I played with Duvall and Ozzie. And by the way, we had a crowd on 500 people on every hole, all to see Ozzie. I've never seen somebody sign so many autographs in my life.
Isn't he great?
Graciously. I mean, it's unreal. Any celebrity should follow Ozzie and learn that's how you do it. But we got to 17, and it felt like Waste Management. There was this is Thursday. This is Thursday, mind you, on a Pro-Am. And there was probably 500 people in the boxes, including Nancy Lopez, who was down in front sitting in the box. And so I was just short, and I was looking at Nancy. She was looking at me. I was about 20 yards short, and I took out my 60, and I said to Ozzy, I'm going to hit a little skipper in there and spin it and stick it and impress. And I pulled it off. If I didn't, I would have sculled it and killed her. And I slid a 60 on there. I hit it, zipped it, and stopped. And she had a look on her face like, I can't believe you just did that. And the crowd went wild. And I'm like, man, this is fun.
It was really fun.
You know, I was thinking of that too. The build out there on 17 had the feel of the Waste Management because the crowd was so into it, and they were really into it, Nick, by the end of the day. Yeah. They had a little fun. So
some beverages and sun, and you know, it was. I tell you what, the crowds were great. Saturday was really special. I mean, because you know, I was thinking back to our first Saturday 2 years ago when we had Jack and Tom and we had those big crowds. And remember, we didn't have a tournament the year before, but we had ticket sales, so there was a build up, and it was really big. And this year was bigger by number-wise because they were spread out over the course. And I made the point this year of walking, and I watched you, and I watched a bunch of others. And on Saturday, I got there early, like 8 o'clock, and I walked the course. And by like 9:30, I was out there following, you know, I think Carlos Franco and some, you know, no big names. There were crowds on every hole.
Yeah.
And here's the cool thing. A buddy of mine, a couple, were watching the coverage all week on the Golf Channel, and they said you could hear the roars from other holes that weren't on. And I'm like, they said that's the sign that it feels like a PGA Tour event. When you hear roars and then they cut away and you know something just happened. You never see that on Champions Tour. You barely hear a roar on the hole you're watching.
Right.
But to hear adjacent holes, and I was like, man, that's cool.
Scotty Dunlap was saying to you and I on either Friday or Saturday night that this feels like a proper PGA Tour event, meaning this has the people that a normal tour event would have, and so far and away it exceeds what normally happens on the Champions Tour.
Yeah, you know, I used to compare it to a lower tier tour event like the Fortinet and some of the, you know, the Rocket Mortgage, some of the second tier events, some opposite field events. I agree. I think it feels like a kind of just a regular tour event, particularly the back nine. And the size of the compound, the space at Norwood, people don't realize, you don't see it on TV, but the Golf Channel has a compound, Butler's Pantry to make all that food, the parking and the amenities, and how big of a build-out that really is and how big the property is. I mean, I think you could go to a lot of tour events and not see that amount of infrastructure during the course of the week that you see.
Corporate sales, ticket sales, how did this year compare to the others?
It exceeded the first year, which, again, the first year we had 2 years, so it was a little bit of a disadvantage. And we had more hospitality. I think we topped 200. And we had the week of ticket sales were much better because of the weather. I think it's weather-driven. You know, our field wasn't quite as strong because we lost some of the big names to the Ryder Cup practice round over in Rome. But overall, we had bigger attendance than year one, which, again, year one was special because we had 2 years of build-up. And we had Nicklaus and Watson, which was a big deal. I mean, that group, the Legends that year, drew 8,000 people on its own. But overall, look, given that we didn't have the best field, we had a good field, not a great field. We had spectacular. You couldn't see a cloud for like 3 days. And the attendance was Thursday, we had a huge crowd for the Pro-Am. Friday was a great crowd. Saturday was a huge crowd. And I was really pleased walking around on Saturday. I just felt like, man, this is, if you know, Robert Dameron, who hadn't played in 10 years, after the round on Saturday, he came up to me and said, if you had parachuted me in, I would have thought this was a tour event. He goes, this reminds me of the last few events I played on tour 10 years ago, you know, the Shell Houston Open and some of these other events. He goes, I would have thought I was out there. He goes, this is my first Champions Tour event, and people are telling me don't expect this, you know, the next week in South Dakota.
Right, all right. Well, Nick, one of the things that Danny and I were marveling at is what you were saying about infrastructure and also just, you know, that term, it takes a village. You look at, we were talking about Maggie Kehoe earlier and handling 900 volunteers, and then you start thinking about the transportation fleet. You start thinking about security, Butler's Pantry, so that all of the hospitality is all got its service. And it's just amazing how you're out there and it's all going on. You know what I mean? It's super impressive and a hell of an undertaking.
It seems seamless. You know, I made a point of, you know, talking to Butler Pantry and Ricky Nix's team and visiting their compound to see how much work goes into just making all that food. It's just an insane amount of food and how seamless it is, and you don't know it's happening because you're watching golf or Maggie and the volunteers. There's 900 of them, and they all seem to be in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. Of course, the marshals aren't always doing the right thing at the right time, at the right place, but the volunteers are. And the parking, the caddies they all say this is the best week of the year because we give them their own lounge with their own food and parking now on site. And, it's like happy wife, happy life, happy caddy, happy player.
Well, Jay could speak to that for sure. With Pearlie, I bet he was happy with how he was treated.
Oh, my. He's like this because he got to see the regular tour. He didn't caddy much on the Champions Tour for me, but he got to see the regular tour. Nick, they didn't do anything for the caddies. There wasn't even, every once in a while there'd be a tent thrown up like over there. You guys go sit over there. Now the fact that they had hot breakfast, the
They
chef.
have a little area. I mean, it was, it's cool. The caddies, you get to know them in the Pro-Ams, and the good caddies get it. Like, they make sure the Pro-Am playing partners. I was lucky, Graham, who caddies for Paul Stankowski, is one of the best. I had him, and then David Duvall. And their caddies, I guess maybe the players talk to them, or they've been around, they know enough, but they know in the Pro-Ams, like, make sure you keep it moving and make sure you talk and engage with the clients, the sponsors who are paying for all this. And I saw that over and over and over again with all the caddies. And how many of the playing partners, the Pro-Am partners, came up to me and they talked about the player. They also talked about, I got the digits of the caddy, or the caddy read this, or those guys they're smart. They get it. Like, they're out there because if we have a great Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday takes care of itself. If you don't have a great Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, eventually you don't have a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think they all get it.
So a casual fan comes up to Nick Ragone. You're very much a recognizable figure now here in town. You're walking around. Also, you're in a suit.
I signed an autograph, by the way.
That's awesome. Good for you. And I have it very nicely displayed on my mantle, so thank you.
Can I tell you my autograph story?
Yeah,
that was funny.
for sure.
So Ozzy and I are playing the Pro-Am. This is true. And every hole this is on Thursday with David Duvall. Every hole, Ozzy signs at least 50 autographs. I'm not embellishing. Golf balls, everything. And even Duvall is cracking up because we actually, our pace of play was slow because Ozzy won't not sign. And so on one hole, he's signing, and somebody comes up and they're like, you want your autograph? And he was talking to me, and he goes, I see on TV and you run this event, right? I said, yeah. So I signed it, and then he looks at Ozzy and he just walks away. And I said, hey, what about my friend over here? He goes, no, I'm all right.
That's great.
And Ozzy's looking at me like,
everybody
knows
Ozzy. Forget it.
Now,
I didn't know who Ozzy was, but he wanted my autograph.
You had to feel pretty good about that, though.
Ozzy was cracking up.
I like it.
So a casual fan comes up to Nick Ragone, and what does he tell you about this event? Does he say, thanks, I'm loving it, you need to do this? You get their 2 cents. What do you get
mostly
from them?
Thanks. I have a lot of people come up, and it's mostly thanks. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for having it in North County. Thanks for investing in the community. And thanks for the great weather. And who do you think's going to win? In 3 days, 4 days, a couple thoughts on, hey, the intersection around there, this clean it up a little bit more, stuff like that. But it's overwhelmingly positive. It's always mostly fans are thankful. They love having reoccurring live golf, professional golf at the elite levels every year. They love that it's at Norwood. They appreciate it. They love it's on the Golf Channel. And they take great pride in it. It's not just Norwood members that take pride in Norwood. They certainly do. But St. Louisans take pride in that the PGA Tour is back here in a regular way. We mentioned that, I can't remember, it was at the pairings party or I've done so many interviews, but it's been 50 years. Lee Trevino won the St. Louis Classic in 71, and I think Gene Littler in 72. That's the last time the PGA Tour had a presence. Now, people confuse that with the PGA of America, which has been intermittently at Belle Reve 3 or 4 times over 50 years. But the Tour has not had a regular presence, and now they went from no presence to the Charity Classic to the BMW and to the President's Cup, so it's pretty cool.
Every event has a bump in the road, and you learn about it, then you improve upon it the following year. Anything that stands out for you that may be improvements looking ahead to 2024?
There's no bumps. It's always just how to make it better and better and better. I think, this year we had some live music on Friday, which was great. We had our youth clinic, which was a big deal, our ceremonial first shots, our legends, which is a lot of fun. And, the first year we had Nicklaus and Watson. You probably can never, ever top that. This year, we went more hockey's, blues and cards. And we're just trying to look at ways to make it bigger. There's really no corrective measures. I love to see the field continue to be strong. I think we have a great week in the calendar in that there's no PGA Tour event opposite us. but it falls in Ryder Cup, President's Cup practice area. And so a lot of the Champion Tour players are assistant captains, and they get dragged into Ryder Cup duty. And so the one thing that, I'm focused on is making sure that next year we have, Freddie and Stricker and Jim Furyk, Davis Love, these guys, Stuart Sink, they were all in Rome for, practice, which, Jay, you've been around those guys for a long time. I'm not sure what an assistant captain could tell an elite player other than there's the course and show up on time. But,
right,
they go out there for practice, which I find cute. But it does cut into our field a little bit, which is, and I've talked about that with the tour. I mean, I think, the week before there's no Champions Tour event and there's no PGA Tour event. To me, that would make more sense to have the mandatory practice where the assistant captains show up and tell them where the golf course is and how to get there.
I'm not exactly sure what they do, to your point, but Nick, one of the things that was surprising to me, I had 3 people come up to me on Sunday and say to me, and one of them is a member at Westwood and an avid golfer, said to me, it's been too long since I've been at Norwood, and I cannot believe how beautiful this property is. And when you're talking about when you were talking about the different compounds, you need to have a certain amount of flat acreage just to be able to put people, which would eliminate a lot of golf courses from here that could even host it.
I mean, most courses. I mean, if you look at the great courses in the area, Old Warson and St. Louis Country Club, even Meadowbrook and others, you just don't. The courses are fantastic, but you don't have the. First of all, it has 36 holes, so you can use the other course. But even just, it's a big piece of property to have that type, to support the infrastructure, to allow for those sides of crowds and the seamlessness of getting in and out. And, when you're there, you're not thinking about where's the food service and where's the golf channel. It's so big, you don't even see it. It just, you get your food, the golf cast happens, the parking's there but you're not thinking about it. I think if you were at another site where it's smaller, you would feel the presence of the infrastructure build out. And I think that's the beauty of it, is how easy it is to get in and out. And Belle Reve is great, but Belle Reve's in a residential neighborhood. In 2018, if you didn't have VIP parking,
it was a nightmare.
It was difficult. I mean, you had an hour and a half drive, Uber wait or drive, and it's a major. You're gonna stick it out, but we're not a major. If it was difficult to get in and out, this event would not be a success.
Nick Ragone is our guest, runs the Ascension Charity Classic. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. As we reflect on just a week ago, wrapping up the Ascension Charity Classic, we're back with more in a moment.
Did you know that Marcone is the largest distributor of General Electric compliance parts in North America? That's right, Marcone does that. Did you know that their worldwide headquarters are located right here in St. Louis? Well, if you didn't know that then, you'll know it now, because CEO Jim Sowers is a philanthropic force in our community. Besides the most recent Marcone military and first responders viewing deck at the Ascension Charity Classic, which, by the way, was a huge hit here and has been copied at other PGA Tour and PGA Tour Champions events, Marcone has purchased and donated many vital service dogs for our wounded military heroes, which help them transition back into society after sustaining catastrophic battlefield injuries. Jim and Marcone also support the Backstoppers, the police and the firefighters, the local naval organizations, and many, many more. Marcone, the company that calls St. Louis home, that always strives to improve and enhance our community in so many different ways. That's Marcone.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
I want to welcome Redbird Heating and Cooling to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. You can reach them at 314-320-9507 or on the website redbirdhvac.com. CEOs Jed Dickinson and Jerry Pearson run the area's most responsive and dedicated heating and cooling company that's been conscientiously supporting the St. Louis area for the last decade. Just last month, when my air conditioner stopped working, Jed and his team were at my home at 7 a.m. to replace one unit and then repair the other. Your money, like it's our money, was Jed's statement to me, and the repairs for Unit 2 was less than $200. If you want to work with a family-owned business that you can trust, then call 314-320-9507 or visit them at redbirdhvac.com. That's redbirdhvac.com.
You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing. To connect with Jay, log on to jdelsinggolf.com. You'll see the latest in equipment, find the latest innovations in golf, and get tips from a PGA professional. That's jdelsinggolf.com.
Hey, this is Jay Delsing, and we golfers are always looking for ways to improve our games. For me, that means I want the very best and the very latest in equipment and in technology. The place for me is Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood. Tom DeGrand opened Pro-Am Golf Center in 1975, and ever since then, he and his family have provided St. Louis with the finest in golf equipment, instruction, and the latest in the ever-changing world of golf technology. Whether you are a scratch golfer looking to find the latest in rangefinders or a newcomer looking to find your first set of clubs, Pro-Am Golf has just what you're looking for. You say you're looking to get yourself custom fitted for a new set of clubs? You need to call TJ. He has fit me personally, and he is the best in town. If you mention my name, CJ will take 50% off the already low fitting price. So if you need anything from golf balls to a new pair of shoes or a lesson from Tom, who, by the way, has been helping St. Louisans play better golf for over 45 years, Pro-Am Golf in Brentwood is the place for you. You can also visit them at proamusa.com. That's Pro-Am Golf.
Hello, friends. This is Jim Nance, and you are listening to Golf with my friend Jay Delsing.
Golf with Jay Delsing, presented by Doherty Business Solutions. It's heard every Sunday, 8 to 10. In studio is Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic as we put a wrap on what just took place a weekend ago at Norwood Hills Country Club. That's Jay Delsing, who competed in the Ascension. I'm Dan McLaughlin. And let's talk a little bit about your champion. What a round on Sunday of 61 and a course record. I'm not sure many saw that coming.
I'm sure Jay didn't. You had the course record, buddy.
I had it.
Yeah. Jay could speak to that. I didn't. First of all, he was 6 under through 7, which is an amazing start. Again, considering it's Sunday at a PGA Tour Champions event where you're trying to win, and Flesh had a good PGA Tour career, 4 wins, a very good Champions Tour career, 4 wins, but it's not like he's won a million times. And to start off that way and just lap the field and to do it with your son on the bag, and it's a great story. He's won with his wife on his bag, his daughter, his son sort of has this love-hate relationship with golf. And for them to do it together and make it a family affair. And Flesh is a great player. I mean, he is an excellent player. I think he's a little bit underrated, but he's been a mainstay on the PGA Tour Champions. He plays a lot. And so I was just thrilled. We've had now, 3 great champions. I think David Toms, Powering, and now Flesh. I was really happy. And if you're not going to get a close finish, then get a record-breaking blowout. Again, even Jay, it pushes you out of the record books, but
I got a
great finish.
Hold on now. Jay has the course record, then the course was redesigned. Then you have the course
grandfathered in?
Yeah, I'm grandfathering that baby in.
We're grasping at straws over here, man. We're grasping at straws. He was a great champion, and it was interesting to see that whole thing unfold. Oftentimes you see guys that'll get out to those quick starts, and then it's kind of like, oh man, I'm 6 under par after 6 holes or whatever the hell he was, and to see him, he
kept the pedal to the metal on that.
He did, and he said afterwards, he said, this is a weird game where you try so hard to try to have things come together, and then all of a sudden they do come together, and you can't believe it.
He was playing miserable golf. He had said he had He played really, really poorly throughout the summer. And it's so funny, like, you pros are just like us amateurs. He's like, I'm looking for stuff, and he's like, I tried lengthening my backswing and turning my back to the target a little bit more, buy myself some time, and it worked. And like, I'm always dreaming up stuff. You are, we all are. We're all chasing, like, what's the thing on the range? And I just love hearing that a guy like Steve Flesch, an accomplished pro, 8-time winner on PGA Tour champions in the big tour, and he's on the range like us, like me, like what's that little thing that's going to get me over the top?
That's what Scott Dunlap said at our house the other day, Danny. He said, yeah, I had 2 3-putts and a 4-putt in the middle of the round, and then I changed my grip, and I'm like, oh, this feels good.
It's unbelievable, though. But to Nick's point, that's how you guys do things.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Nick, I want you to pull back the curtain a little bit for folks that are listening. So he wins the event, and then what happens afterwards in terms of his caddy, which is his son, just kind of privately without giving away too many trade secrets, but what's it like after a champion wins that event? What do you guys do?
It's pretty cool. We do a lot of pictures on the 18th green, which they're always gracious about, with our charity partners, the Urban League Boys and Girls Club in Mary Grove, with myself, with the volunteers, or all the people that make it happen. Then we go down to the volunteers tent and we say thanks to them, and there's 900 put on this event. There's a couple hundred down there, and the champion speaks, which I think is really cool. It's a great tradition. And then we go up into the clubhouse and we have a private toast of the champion, and just, again, allow, in this case, Steve, to say a few words, Steve Flesch, and they sign some pins and stuff like that. And it's really cool because they're still, you know this, Jay, the adrenaline's still coursing through their body, especially a guy like Flesch. He doesn't win a million times. It's not like Bernhard, who's done this 46 times. And so he's still on a high. His head is probably still on the golf course. His son is with them. They're still emotional. And yet you have all these people around them, like sponsors like myself and volunteers. We want to be a part of that moment with them. And I'm always amazed, and David Toms was great, how gracious they are, knowing that, like, their spouses are trying to call them. Their phone is buzzing. You could hear it buzz. You could feel it radiating because so many people are texting them. And, to his credit, and to Podrick was great too, and David, they're in the moment still. They get that they're with the tournament, they're with the staff, they're with Norwood, they're with me, and they're really present. And I'm amazed by that, Jay, because my head's spinning and I didn't win anything.
Nick, I won this tournament in Omaha, and I had my girls with me, and we had a little dog pile on the 18th, and then Cox Cable was the title sponsor. So like you said, we did volunteer pictures, you speak, somebody hands you a glass of champagne, you haven't eaten, and I don't know how long you're out in the sun, the whole deal. I think I told you this story, though, Danny. So we do all this, and it probably takes 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. And so, you get in, you get a shower, and then I had this commitment the next day, and I had to drive from Omaha to Columbia, Missouri. And the car is packed. I got the girls in the Suburban. You couldn't fit another box of tissues in this car. It was jammed. And my wife at the time, who's my ex-wife now, says to me, we're going down the highway. She says, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm fine." Yeah, so I'm fine. And I'm just thinking. And about 3 minutes later, she says, "Are you sure you're okay?" And I'm like, "What the hell's the problem?" Like, she goes, "You're going 105." I'm just, you're just in this weird zone. And then that night, I didn't sleep at all. Right. I slept. I usually sleep great while I'm playing, and then after, you're like, I can't believe that shot worked, or that putt went in, or something like that.
Yeah, it's cool as a sponsor now for the third year for a few minutes, for a few hours, be in that orbit, just to again, to see elite players. I mean, David Toms, Padraig Harrington, a World Golf Hall of Famer, Steve Flesch, a very good golfer. To see them do their business. And again, Toms had not won in 5 years. I mean, he was crying on the 18th green. He was very emotional. I take credit for rejuvenating his career. He's won twice this year. And I tell him that, and he laughs. But to be with them in a moment when that's, David Toms' career wasn't on the Champions Tour, wasn't going that great. Padraig last year was the best player in the world in the Champions Tour, and to see him at his pinnacle, it's just a really cool perch to be able to be in their orbit for a little bit and understand, they just accomplished something that, they might do once a year, once every couple of years. And for them to be present enough to be able to speak and articulate it on the 18th green, to express themselves to the volunteers, the fans, and the sponsors to go and do all the obligatory things when you know that they just want to get back and relax and decompress or talk to their spouses or whatever it is, and to be present enough. And it's taught me some life lessons. Like, there's always times when I'm not present, or none of us are always present when we should be. But for those guys to make sure that they make the effort to make sure that we all have a chance to celebrate with them is pretty cool.
Is that the best part of your job? Is you got a lot of different hats you're wearing for this tournament, but to be able to hand that trophy over and then to see behind the scenes the emotional part of winning on PGA Tour Champions.
I mean, it's not the best part. I mean, the best part, it happens 2 weeks, 3 weeks after when we write checks. I mean, that truly is the best part. But it's kind of as a golf fan, and you guys know I'm a golf historian and a golf nerd. I grew up around the sport and the Westchester Classic, Jay, seeing you there. And I was telling Hale Irwin, I remember following him every year and him never giving me a golf ball. Johnny Miller, I reminded him Johnny Miller did, but you didn't, Hale. Yeah. But to sort of be, to grow up around the game, to be a student of the game, to be a historian, and then to have a little window into sort of today and getting to know some of the players and seeing how they sort of operate at the highest levels is pretty cool.
It's great. It's great. By the way, you mentioned writing checks. Do we have any idea how much money has been raised, or roughly?
Not yet, but I would surmise that we went from 250 to 800 to 1.4, that we'd continue the northward trend. We won't know for sure for a couple weeks now, but just based on sort of the projections. And I could tell you that the gratifying moment for me is Friday morning watching our 2 honorary first-team PGA Reach members hit the ceremonial first shot, and having all 3 of our charities there, Michael McMillan and Dr. Fowler and Michael Meehan, and understanding that that these dollars, and having all 3 of them participate all week and say, this isn't a talking point for you, Nick. Like, these are real kids that are helped every day by this money, making a difference in North St. Louis County, providing safe places for kids, really making an impact. That's the part that by far is the most gratifying. And, and seeing not just those 3 charities now, but we had on Tuesday, and thank you, Danny, for hosting it, our RSM Putting Challenge. We had 10 other charities involved, and a chance for the kids to meet the players, to win some money, to have a good time. And that to me, by far, golf takes care of itself. It really does. That's not a talking point. It takes care of itself, but it's the charities that are the real winners.
Where does that rank in terms of the money raised? You mentioned about $1.5 million compared to some of the other tour stops. Any idea?
It's the most charitable. Last year it was, so I'm assuming this year it'll be near there. And we set a goal in 2019 at the press conference, October 8th. Not that I memorized it. Both of you were there. And I said within 5 years we wanted to be among the most charitable. In year 2 we are. So that does, it doesn't say much about me. It says everything about the community.
In terms of the fans, do you have a number on that? How many people came out for the entire week? Any idea?
Over 50,000. I'm not sure the exact number. Our Saturday was bigger than our first year Saturday, which was our biggest number. So based on that, it's north of 50. I will tell you, our Saturday again this year was bigger than the Sunday at the U.S. Open.
Is that right?
LA Country Club, U.S. Open had 22,000 people. Our Saturday was probably north of 24, which is pretty amazing. That's a U.S. Open. We're a Champions Tour event. They're in L.A. We're in St. Louis. And by the way, if you saw it on TV, and I had a lot of people text me, it looked way bigger, our event, than the U.S. Open did, just by roars, by crowd size, by build-out. I mean, I take a lot of pride in that, because these guys, to a person, I was just on with the commissioner, and he said, Nick, I can't tell you, I'm walking the range right now at the next event, how many guys are coming up to me saying, man, we love what they're doing there. Like, we need to take that model and apply it elsewhere. And they love the juice, Jay. These guys are entertainers. I mean, You and I, Danny, we don't want to play in front of people. We want to hide. These guys get juiced up by that. Like, they actually feed off the energy. That's why they're different than we are. And they love that energy of playing in front of people.
Jay, you've talked about that all the time.
It makes it feel so much more relevant. Plus, you want to put on a good show. You want to leave them with some sort of memory like, hey, I've actually had little kids with their dads come up to me and like, my son saw you hit this one shot, in Atlanta or something, and he'll never forget it. And I'm like, wow, you didn't realize you have that kind of impact, but it really makes a big deal.
Absolutely. I love that Nancy Lopez was putting with one arm.
She's rolling them in. First of all, Nancy is one of the all-time great putters, full stop, ever in the history of the game. I mean, she won 5 times in a row her rookie year in 78. 9 times, she reminded me, 9 times that year. 9 times in a year as a rookie, as a 22-year-old. And for her to, I told the story, but she texted me last year and said, hey, I'd love to come to your event. And I was like, all right, come back. And she came on her own and spent the entire week doing, she was at the pairings party, did the RSM putting challenge, took pictures all day Wednesday at the Pro-Am. On Thursday, sat in the bleachers of the Pro-Am. On Saturday, on 17, rooting people on. Saturday was in our Legends Challenge with you. You were interviewing her, and she was doing some color commentary. She's just an extraordinary woman, and I think one of the all-time great ambassadors for the game of golf. And I love, the connection that she has with our sponsors, with our fans at the pairings party, and all the other places that she goes to. I think the Champions Tour is special in that way, in that it honors and reveres the legends of the game in a way that I don't think any other sport does, because they're still out there. By the way, Hale could still flat out hit it. I mean, he was absolutely ripping it. And I think that's cool. I mean, football, baseball, hockey, basketball, they're great sports, but they don't have the ability to have the legends play right up alongside the current pros and honor them. I mean, the Champions Tour wouldn't be out there if it wasn't for Arnold, if it wasn't for, Jack and others. Hale won 45 times. I mean, they wouldn't have that tour. The LPGA Tour wouldn't exist were it not for Joanne Carner and Kathy Whitworth and Nancy Lopez. And even the men, a lot of them, David Duvall, we were having lunch and he came over to talk to Nancy. A lot of those guys came up and wanted to pick her brain, not just say hi, but pick their brain about putting and other stuff. It's just so cool to see that in our sport.
As we wrap it up, I know you have great ambassadors. You have none better in this town than the man across the way here in studio, and that's Jay Delsing. And I know you know that.
No, none more handsome, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
No, Jay has been, and you too, Danny, the two of you have been remarkable. I keep thinking back to October 2019 when this was a vision mostly in my head, and we were trying to sell it to the public, and we had that first press conference, and Danny, you were there, and Jay, you were there, and we were making a lot of phone calls trying to get people there, and afterwards trying to get sponsors aligned, and and I got a lot of quizzical looks and arched eyebrows and, maybe, but not a lot of this can work. And having, the imprimatur of Jay, you being one of the best golfers ever to come out of this, and Danny, you, the face of sports around here, was the difference between this happening and not happening. I mean, it wasn't written in the stars anywhere that this was going to work. It was kind of me with the idea, and then finding people, yourselves and many others included, to help us get this started. And now it's like a snowball going downhill.
Do you remember when we met? It's at the chess club.
At the MAC.
No, at the chess club. That's when I first met you. And
were you playing chess?
No, I was there to MC the event for Rex Singfield, and you were there. They purposely put us next to each other because you love baseball, and you told me about the Mets.
Oh my God, I do remember that. Holy
That's
cow!
How we first met.
I must have fanboyed and told you how great the Mets were.
You told me.
We talked back in 2015.
It was great.
The
we
Mets
were talking
were
to each other. Yeah, it was so much fun.
I remember when we met at the
MAC.
Yeah, MAC, not the MAC. The MAC. And
you can say the MAC, the Missouri Athletic Club.
But the thing was, we met and you sort of pitched me on a bunch of ideas immediately on how to make this bigger. And I kind of reminisce. I look back, and those were fun when we were trying to get this thing off the ground. And I sat on the 18th green. I made a couple phone calls right after that press conference. One was to Kathy Button-Bell at Emerson and Dave Farr, and were it not for Kathy and Dave, this wouldn't be here. And then to Worldwide and to Centene and Michael Neidorf, God bless them, and others. And, this community special that you can make some phone calls and get commitments.
Absolutely. So I get to put you on the spot. You ready for it? We got to get Jay hitting balls next year again. I mean, come on.
Jay, I already told him on 18 putting green. I was so proud of him. I gave him a hug, and I said, we're going to do it again next year for sure.
I love it.
Thank you, boys.
Hey, Nick, thanks for coming in studio. Really appreciate it, and thanks for all you've done for St. Louis.
Thank you, Danny, for being such a great partner, and thank you, Jay. And took a half a day off on Monday, and we're back at it.
That's awesome. Nick Ragone, Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. This is Golf with Jay Delsing. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions, and a big announcement is coming up.
Daugherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions.
Family Golf and Learning Center. No matter your age or skill level, Family Golf and Learning Center, located in Kirkwood, has something for you. They've got it all. PGA and LPGA instruction, double-decker driving range, par 3 golf course, TrackMan simulators, a large short game green design to help you with all your shots around the green, bunkers, rough, and Zoysia fairway pitching. And now open, the Tahoma Bermuda Grass Tees, the best turf to hit from in St. Louis. It's all at Family Golf and Learning Center. To schedule a lesson or to find out more, visit FamilyGolfOnline.com. That's FamilyGolfOnline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Powers Insurance and Risk Management is a family-owned local business that's been helping our community for over 200 years. In the always confusing world of insurance, Powers Insurance provides clarity, exceptional service, and the latest in cutting-edge products to deliver the highest quality in property and casualty coverage, as well as strategic planning consultation services. Powers Insurance and Risk Management will partner with you. That's right, partner with you to customize the right coverage for you and your family. Tim Davis, the Chief Operations Officer, will personally sit down and talk you through the ins and outs of your policies. They are experts at helping you control your workplace expenses and helping to guarantee the safety of you and your employees and their needs. You can visit them at powersinsurance.com. That's powersinsurance.com for all of your insurance needs.
For the best in Italian cuisine in St. Louis, look no further than Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield. It's traditional Italian cooking, and their best ingredient? It's their tradition. It's cooking like Paul's grandmother used to make and like his mother still prepares today. There are no corners cut at Paul Manno's. From greeting you at the door to the pasta you'll share with your family, Paul Manno's is committed to bringing you their very best anytime you share a meal at their place. It's Paul Manno's, located in Chesterfield.
I'd like to welcome I Promise to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. What is I Promise, you ask? It's a St. Louis-based company with the most clinically backed eye health performance supplement brand with over 20 years of eye health expertise and nutrition science. It's all natural, and their cutting-edge science and technology has helped I Promise forge many exciting new golf partnerships, like with the PGA of America, the Titleist Performance Institute, the Ledbetter Academy, and many more. Perhaps the most exciting component for me is that all of this new improvement is measurable. I can tell you that in my case, my initial score was around 0.25, and after taking the I Promise product for 2+ months, my score soared to almost 0.60. It had more than doubled. I can now read the greens better because I'm not really dealing with as much glare and trying to manage that, and I squint much less when I'm playing golf. And you don't have to take it from me. Check out what Padraig Harrington has to say about this product. He is playing some of the best golf of his career in his early 50s, and he swears I Promise has helped improve his short game. Check out I Promise. That's I Promise, the company helping us to see better, play better, and live better. Visit them at ipromise.com.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. You're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Heading down the stretch on Golf with Jay Delsing. That's Jay Delsing. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Our thanks to John Perlis, Jay's caddy last week at the Ascension Charity Classic. Also thanks Nick Ragone for stopping in studio. We're presented by Daugherty Business Solutions. Okay, I mentioned we had a big announcement to make as we went to break, and that is that Jay Delsing, long time coming, so well-deserved, is headed to the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, and you found that out this past week.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Absolutely overwhelmed and so grateful and, shocked, just shocked and appreciative. I don't know what to say.
Well, what's it mean to you?
It's nothing I ever thought would happen. Honestly, I didn't think that much about it. Now that I think about it, I'm like, how did that happen? And
you're starting to tear up a little bit.
I am. I just, you try to do the right thing and you try to do it for a long time and you try to, do it just because it's the right thing. And sometimes you wonder, is anybody paying attention? Am I really making a difference? And sometimes you get this attaboy like this and it really makes you feel like, wow. I mean, not that all that wasn't worth it, but it's just overwhelming and just really grateful. I can't imagine some of those other people that are in that in the Hall of Fame, and it's just a real thrill and a real honor.
You're going in with Todd Light. You're going in with Barrett Jackman. Bernie Miklasz is part of this on the media. Yeah, Adam Wainwright.
Yeah, man.
Some big name. Kenny Wallace, I think, was one of them as well.
Kenny Wallace is just terrific human being. Yeah, I mean, it's again. I just take this deep breath and like go, what am I? I look at that list of people. I'm like, how did I get on that list?
Well, it's so well deserving. You've had a hell of a week. You had the Ascension Charity Classic, and now this. So you're going to need a little time out, man, to catch your breath.
I need a timeout. I need to lay down. I need to probably be put down. You
don't need to be put down yet.
I probably do. If you'd have seen me play on Sunday, you'd have like put that man down. But it was just great, Danny. Such a thrill. I'm sure you had a lot to do with it. I don't know how you did it. I don't know what happened, but I'm really, really grateful. And
well, you did it.
I'm kind of speechless. I don't get this. I stutter and stammer from time to time, but not this badly.
Well, let's also talk about what Nick said at the very end of our visit.
How about that?
You're going to be back next year.
I should start prepping right now.
That's a lot of golf that you and I are going to play.
I know, my gosh, man, that is something. I start thinking about those 3 Pro-Ams, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna just take it as easy as I can on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But it's a thrill, and I think about the prospects of us maybe reaching $2 million this year, and our efforts to raise money, and it's a home run, Danny. For me, it's a great way. I think it's perfect timing. I don't think it would have meant nearly as much to me if I was in my 30s, and this was a regular tour event. I would have felt like I had a much better opportunity to compete because I was just so much more competitive back then. But it's really not even about that. I mean, it's funny. You and I have sat here and people, congratulate me on a great week. And I'm like, I didn't have a great week.
You did, though. You know what? The final day was tough, obviously. But the great week is what you did for people and raising money and being a rep of North County and the area and the first couple of days that you had. And the promotion that you did. I don't think people understand how much promotion you did for this event, which is not an easy thing to do, especially during the week of the event.
Yeah, I like this show has been great. It's been great. You know how I feel about Pearlie, but having you on this show has just taken us to a completely new level. It's brought in so much more attention, and we've received, I bet you, honest, this is no exaggeration, I bet you I heard 250 people tell me different occasions how much they like the show, they like us working together.
As you're playing.
Yeah, just walking from, they're like, your show is awesome on Sunday. And one guy's like, how'd you do the show on Sunday you're playing? I'm like, it might be taped.
Might have been the same guy that came to me as we talk on this Sunday morning live on 101 ESPN. Yeah. He came to me and said, well, I just heard you like 5 minutes ago. I said, well, we have a studio here.
Yeah, that's right. We got a studio at Norwood. He's like, you do? And I'm like, I'm just going to keep walking.
What would your dad say about the week that you had representing Norwood. And for people that don't know, we call him Chief.
Yeah.
And Jim Delsing, who played in the major leagues and had a prominent figure of MLB. But your dad, your kids will be at the event. Your dad has passed. But you know what? This is so well-deserved, man, to get what you're getting.
Thank you. My dad, I don't know what he would have said. I know that my dad was inducted into the Wisconsin Sports Hall of Fame. And, you know, we're just that sort that just doesn't talk that much about that. You know, he didn't talk much about it. I don't know what he'd say. Probably not much. He'd just probably say, get up there and keep it short.
He was pretty stoic, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. And he would have just said, our whole thing was, act like you've been there before, and you don't show anybody up, and you act like a professional all the time. And so that's really what I've tried to do. And, the more I think about it, the more it's hard to talk about. I'm just so proud and so humbled by the whole thing.
I love having Nick Ragone in studio. He's instant offense. He's a great talker, great speaker, and a great representative of the Ascension Charity Classic. So he'll be back with the tournament next year. I asked this question, and I'll ask it to you. Any kind of bumps in the road that you had? And he said, not really. You have a couple things that are out of your control, like weather and variables like that, is the course in shape, all that kind of stuff. From a player's perspective, did you see anything that would even take it to another level, or the things that stood out that made it so great? What was it?
Danny, I think, first of all, the community and the community and then the corporate community make it off the start. We start at a super high level. Second of all, the golf course. The guys love the golf course. That's all there is to it. It's an old school. It's right in front of you. The greens help keep the scores down, and it's a great event. Anything that we do to make it better would be a value add. Like, can we add an elite concert on a Saturday night or a Friday night, or what can we add to this to just build on this foundation? Because the foundation that we have is so strong. And look, you raise money. Your foundation for special needs kids has raised $5 million plus over the years. But you know how difficult it is.
It's hard. It's very hard.
And it takes a lot out of you, and it takes a lot of people. And in order to pull this whole thing off, man, 900 volunteers, yada, yada. We go all over that again. But it's the community that delivers the money, and then we deliver the product as the players, and HNS gives you the venue. And, it just, there's so many just different layers of it that make this thing work.
And if people haven't come out, the one thing that Nick really emphasized was the charities, but the kids from those particular charities participating in the events.
Yeah.
So it's tangible.
Yeah.
You can see that this is really making a difference, and that you're helping kids that maybe don't come from the best backgrounds and getting to rub elbows with Jay Delsing and Bernard Longer and Nancy Lopez. I just found that I was struck by it during the putting challenge, and I was struck by it just the whole weekend with all the different kids from the charities that were allowed to be inside the ropes and following you guys.
Danny, what about that young lady that was at the Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce luncheon? How about her? She stood up and spoke in front of 200 people at that luncheon and just knocked it out of the park. She had never played golf before until she joined the PGA Junior League. And, I mean, that's the sort of stuff we're talking about. And that's the sort of thing that, you and I looked at each other and go, really?
Yeah.
I mean, this young lady standing up at what was she, 15 or 16 years of age, and standing in front of all of these adults and just knocking it out of the park with just authentic heart on her sleeve, and talking about her friends, and nobody knows how to play golf, and now her friends are thinking, well, maybe I should play golf.
Sure.
And look at what it's doing for, that's the kind of thing that matters. And you start, maybe it just starts with one kid. I don't know. But I mean, if at the end of the day, all of this changes one life, it's worth it.
Yeah, 100%.
It's worth it.
Nick was great in studio. John Perlis over the phone visiting with us, caddying for you. I'll leave this final minute to you as you kind of take a look back at your experience at the Ascension Charity Classic. The floor is yours.
Oh, man. It's awesome to have my girls coming down. That is the thing that hits me the most. Your life just kind of goes fast sometimes, and you're like, wait a second. My youngest is, 40 years old. She's a mother of two, all that stuff. And you look back and go, whoa, and then I look at how much how much prep you and I did. We did a lot of prep, and we talked about it. We literally talked about we're going to extra mile to get out there, and that helped so much. And then we also do business things together, Danny, and that is super fun. And it's all of these things are connected with the show, with our love for the community, all the things that you have done through all the years with the different foundations that you have, all of that. It just all matters. And you know, with this golf tournament, it comes all, it's like it's never going to get here. It's never going to get here. Then all of a sudden it's like, boom, and it's gone.
Yeah.
And you're kind of left in the wash a little bit. You're exhausted, and you look up and you're like, man, it was another great event. And all the people that came out there and the experiences and the golf, but then the money.
Yeah.
We raise that money for the people that need it the most in an area of our community that needs it the most. And that just makes me feel great. I just feel so proud to be a tiny little part of it.
Congratulations, Missouri Sports Hall of Famer, also St. Louis Sports Hall of Famer, Jay Delsing. Thanks to John Perlis. Thanks to Nick Ragone. And Jaybird, if you can get it out, I know you're emotional. How do we end the show?
And thanks to you, Danny Mack. And hit him straight, St. Louis. I want to welcome Redbird Heating and Cooling to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. You can reach them at 314-320-9507 or on the website redbirdhvac.com. CEOs Jed Dickinson and Jerry Pearson run the area's most responsive and dedicated heating and cooling company that's been conscientiously supporting the St. Louis area for the last decade. Just last month, when my air conditioner stopped working, Jed and his team were at my home at 7 a.m. to replace one unit and then repair the other. Your money, like it's our money, was Jed's statement to me, and the repairs for Unit 2 was less than $200. If you want to work with a family-owned business that you can trust, then call 314-320-9507 or visit them at redbirdhvac.com. That's redbirdhvac.com.
Hi, this is Adam Betts from Family Golf and Learning Center. At FGLC here in Kirkwood, we feature a double-decker driving range, 2 large grass tees with Tahoma Bermuda grass. You want to work on your short game? We have a short game area too, which features a 20,000 square foot green, 3 bunkers, and Zoysia surrounds. Also at Family Golf and Learning Center, don't forget about our 9-hole par 3 course, the indoor TrackMan simulators, and our performance center. If you're looking for the best golf instruction, regardless of skill, we can help. Find out more at familygolfonline.com. That's familygolfonline.com. Family Golf and Learning Center. We make St. Louis better at golf.
Did you know that Marcone is the largest distributor of General Electric compliance parts in North America? That's right, Marcone does that. Did you know that their worldwide headquarters are located right here in St. Louis? Well, if you didn't know that then, you'll know it now, because CEO Jim Sowers is a philanthropic force in our community. Besides the most recent Marcone military and first responders viewing deck at the Ascension Charity Classic, which, by the way, was a huge hit here and has been copied at other PGA Tour and PGA Tour Champions events, Marcone has purchased and donated many vital service dogs for our wounded military heroes, which help them transition back into society after sustaining catastrophic battlefield injuries. Jim and Marcone also support the Backstoppers, the police and the firefighters, the local naval organizations, and many, many more. Marcone, the company that calls St. Louis home, that always strives to improve and enhance our community in so many different ways. That's Marcone.
Hi, this is Nick Ragone from the Ascension Charity Classic, and you're listening to Golf with Jay Delsing.
Daugherty Business Solutions has been enhancing the business of our customers for the last 37 years. How do we do it? Through our expertise in technology, better use of data and analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. We roll up our sleeves and collaborate. We build applications and effectively communicate with our partner clients to bring their goals and objectives to the finish line. Our award-winning Access Point program is a community game changer. With nearly 100 students in the program, mostly young African-American females are making between $55,000 and $60,000 per year right out of high school. That's right, $55,000 to $60,000 a year right after high school graduation. That's when they begin their training. CEO Ron Daugherty believes the talent is equally distributed, but access to that opportunity is not. So here's Access Point, providing more and more opportunity for those in and around our community. It's Daugherty Business Solutions. I'd like to welcome I Promise to the Golf with Jay Delsing show. What is I Promise, you ask? It's a St. Louis-based company with the most clinically backed eye health performance supplement brand with over 20 years of eye health expertise and nutrition science. It's all natural, and their cutting-edge science and technology has helped I Promise forge many exciting new golf partnerships, like with the PGA of America, the Titleist Performance Institute, the Ledbetter Academy, and many more. Perhaps the most exciting component for me is that all of this new improvement is measurable. I can tell you that in my case, my initial score was around 0.25, and after taking the I Promise product for 2+ months, my score soared to almost 0.60. It had more than doubled. I can now read the greens better because I'm not really dealing with as much glare and trying to manage that, and I squint much less when I'm playing golf. And you don't have to take it from me. Check out what Padraig Harrington has to say about this product. He is playing some of the best golf of his career in his early 50s, and he swears I Promise has helped improve his short game. Check out I Promise. That's I Promise, the company helping us to see better, play better, and live better. Visit them at ipromise.com.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis. 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return.